Yes.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to find out how you work with actors and if you've had some problems, what you do to make it work, or if you could give some specific examples of when it's not working and what you do.
Good question. I think that the best way to avoid any problems with the actors is to really have a good rehearsal period. That is what rehearsal is for. If you have some great philosophical differences with your actors, the time to discuss that is not on the set when you have your crew standing around waiting. Especially in my level where you have 100 people working on a film and you're off down the block trying to work something out. You have to work that stuff out beforehand. You do not want to be in a situation where you're shooting and you have some philosophical differences on the subject matter. And even though saying that, it still might pop up. Do the right thing. I'll give you an example. In the climactic scene, Do the Right Thing, after Danielle's character smashed Ray Raheem's radio with the baseball bat, Ray Raheem was supposed to snatch him and drag him over the pizza counter. All of a sudden, Danny didn't want to do that. You know? I mean, it had nothing to do with the film, it had to do with him looking bad amongst his friends. So, you know, the assistant director had to clear the set, and me and Danny had, you know, had to work it out. You know, so, you know, that will, despite the best intentions, there still might be some times where these things like this pop up, and you have to be decisive, but at the same time respectful to your actors, because one thing that young filmmakers always, one thing actors always hold over young filmmakers is that I'm going to walk. Especially in film school, because in film school you don't pay the actors. They're doing that, they're doing the film because they want film experience, and they can put something on their resume and they can have a piece of tape they can show. And since they know that you don't have a lot of money, if you have a 7-day shoot and you shot 3 days, they know that they can't be replaced, therefore they can take advantage of that. So you just have to, that's why casting is so important. When you interview, when you audition actors, as directors, you have to remember, actors are very desperate people. They will tell you anything to get the part. Do you speak French? Yes. Do you drive a car? Yes. And then you get ready to shoot the scene, and they don't know how to drive a stick shift. I thought you said you know how to drive a stick shift. Well, it was a long time ago. And then you have a scene where they have to drive, and that's the only car you have, and you're stuck. And you have to realize that actors will tell you anything to get a part. And you have to be a detective and really make sure that you are getting what you see, because it's the same thing as like when you're trying to talk to a young lady. Men, that first date, you can be perfect, charming, all the attributes that a woman would like. But once you're in there, you know, you can switch up and go back to your regular self, like, and then the lady's saying, who is this person? This is not the charming, young, nice guy I met. And that can happen especially after people get married. They wake up in the morning, the person is a complete stranger. And actors can do the same, they've been known to do the same thing.
So what's your bullshit detector?
Well, number one, it's not something you might be able to do, but I talk to other directors. Directors talk to each other. If somebody's giving you a hard time and another director calls you up, we never lie. We say, look, you tell that person the truth because you don't want your fellow director to go through what you went through. So you call up other people. You know, if I've heard several things about so and so and so, is it true? Yes or no? You call up people who work with that person.
Yeah, a very specific technique question. I think you use this in Jungle Fever and Do the Right Thing, where you have people walking on the sidewalk and they're sort of floating along like on a dolly. I like the technique, but at times it's taking me out of the story. I'm wondering what you're trying to evoke by using that.
Well, what we try to do is we help with to tell the story. I'll use 25th Hour as an example. When we show it in 25th Hour, the first time is when Anna Paquin's character is just dropping some E, you know, is drunk, you know, half a bottle of Cristal. So that is your mind state. Another way we use it is in after the scene, after Edward Philip Seymour's character has just gone beyond the line and kissed his high school student. And we have him looking straight at the camera, so that also we feel helps convey his mind state. Another example we feel it worked was in Malcolm X, and doing our research for that film, and also speaking to Malcolm's widow, the late Dr. Betty Shabazz. She told us that Malcolm knew he was going to be assassinated before he spoke that day at the Audubon Ballroom. So we felt, how should we show his state of mind, knowing that he's about to get assassinated? So that's where we use that shot, you know, where we have the Sam Cooke song playing, The Change Is Gonna Come. So we try to use it to help tell the story. Yes?
Excuse me. Speak a little about your process as a writer, and also would you ever consider giving something you've written to a different director to direct?
Well, I don't know if I've done the other thing because I don't have the excess of scripts. When it's time for me to write, to do a film, I force myself to sit down and write it. So it's not like I can just go to my shelf and pull a script off the shelf and give it to somebody to direct. Also, no one's asked me to write a script for me, for them to direct. My writing process really is for me. As I said before, there's no one way to do it. But for me, I'm a morning person. I operate better in the morning. So I get up at the crack of dawn, read the sports pages, then I write at the maximum 2 hours a day. I cannot sit down and write longer than that. I do not type. I use 3-ring loosely binder paper and longhand print. Do not type. I give it someone to type it up, but I can't type, and thoughts would be stifled of me messing around with the keys. So I just put pen in hand to paper.
And what's your favorite part of the process? What's the part that gives you the most pleasure? The writing?
Post-production.
Well, what about the writing process? What part of the writing process do you enjoy?
When is it done? And for the writers of the audience, it takes a lot of discipline. So, I mean, your creative muscles can be trained. And as I said before, it takes a lot of discipline. So when I start to write a script, I'm going to work 2 hours a day for however long it takes to finish writing that script. I will not miss a day. It has to be like clockwork every day. Wake up at 6, mess around for an hour, 7 to 9, 7 to 10. That's all I do is write. Then I'm done for the day. Then I come back the next day. Another thing, though, is that when I write a script, I keep notes. So when I hear snatches of dialogue, the character's name, or plot points, I write in a notebook. Then I put that stuff on index cards, 5x7 index cards, in arranging order. Then I use those index cards as a guide for me to write the script. So it's not, I never just can't sit down. I just can't sit down and just write without having. I mean, there's been a period where I've been compiling notes before I begin the actual writing process of the script.
Is there a natural cut-off point there where you feel that you've accumulated enough information, enough research?
Yes, when I feel that something is instinct and gut and I've done is enough, but when I feel I have enough material, then I will sit down and write the script. But that also means I don't know exactly everything, but I feel I have enough to start writing the script.
A lot of your ear for dialogue it's always appeared from the outside as being something that's very naturally picked up from the street. Is that the case? Do you still go and observe characters? You still pick stuff up?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily just picking up from the street. I just think that people write good dialogue with people who listen. And there's very specific ways that people talk. I mean, you listen to a conversation, people don't wait till people talk on top of each other and leave words out and stuff like that. So I try to write realistic, try to write dialogue the way I hear people speaking. Yes?
Hi, I'm Loretta from South Africa. I just want to ask, don't you think that structured education could somehow dilute an individual's style or something?
Very good question. And the answer to that question is yes. When you're in grad school, if you're in grad school and you're at a law school or getting your MBA in a business school, med school, when you take a test, for the most part, there is a right or wrong answer. But when you're in graduate school and it comes to the arts, then it becomes a lot trickier because art is all about taste and aesthetics. So I've been a witness in film school, I was also a victim of it, of seeing people who I thought were very talented as filmmakers, but because their films did not fit within the taste of the faculty administration, they were given, grades where they failed class and subsequently kicked out. Or one individual, I forgot his name, I think Joseph Binion, he wrote the screenplay to After Hours, the film directed by Martin Scorsese. He got kicked out of NYU. So, when you go to an art school, you have to have a very strong sense of self, because if not, it can be crushing. Because you could be adversely swayed by your faculty, or also your classmates. It's not to say that you should not accept criticism, but when people tell you what you do is completely wrong, a lot of times that's not based on any laws, based on taste, whether they liked it or not whether it was correct.